Let's go live with Jack Kelly. Welcome to the one-of-a-kind LinkedIn live show that will help you with your job search and advancing your career. We will bring in educated career experts who will share their insights and give you inside tips on how to be successful in your job search. Now let's get into today's show with your host, Jack Kelly.
We are good. Yes. Welcome, Donna Serdula. Is that how I pronounce it? Is that right? Serdula?
You got it. Serdula. Yeah. Yeah. It looks a lot harder than it is, but I find myself, I like to pretend that I'm Gary Vaynerchuk because he always says Gary Vaynerchuk, like, Serdula.
Actually, that's really good to say. Donna Serdula. Yeah, really has some
memorable.
To it. Yes, I like that. All right, that's cool. Serdula. Hey, so maybe we could jump right in and you could tell the audience here, and then when people watch it on the replay, a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Sure. So over a decade ago, I started this crazy little website called LinkedInMakeover.com. And back then I would say, oh yeah, I love LinkedIn. And people would say, the 16th president? Like, what are you talking about? Back then, like LinkedIn, it sounded the same. Like people didn't know it back then, but it has changed. I mean, it's really changed.
That was wild for 10 years ago to do it. You were ahead of the time.
Over 10 years. It was 2019.
Wow. Yeah. So like 10 years ago. Yeah. I think people were just kind of posting. They really weren't giving much thought to it. Am I wrong?
There wasn't a lot going on back then. I mean, there was a profile and there was a news feed and there was all that good stuff. But, it was a different world back then and things have really changed. But, ultimately I had come out of a sales environment and I was doing a lot of prospecting, and I realized that LinkedIn played a huge role in not just job search, but just in reputation management. And it really kind of, it went all over the place. It was, if you were selling, if you were prospecting, it just in any way, LinkedIn always seemed to play this crazy role. And people always, people want to know who they're doing business with. And so, back years ago, I would call people. I always wanted to know who they were, and I'd look them up, and the LinkedIn profile was always popping up. And that was when I really had this epiphany that is, your LinkedIn profile is not your resume. And it really is your digital introduction. It's your first impression. It's your online reputation. And it needs to tell a story. It needs to be authentic. It needs to be engaging. It needs to be interesting. And all of those things are not a copy and pasted resume. And so, because of that realization, I changed the way I used LinkedIn, and I saw a lot of success. And it was in 2009 that I decided I want to help people. I want to help people tell their story. This is important. This medium is huge. And since then, I've worked with over 6,000 executives and professionals and entrepreneurs. I've got a lot of writers on my team. It used to just be me, but we help people tell their story. We help people write their profiles. We help people write their resumes and their bios. We help people tell a much more engaging and authentic story online.
That's great. 6,000 is a lot. In 2009, in a way, it's kind of sort of similar to where we are now. It's right at the beginning of the financial crisis. People have lost their jobs. Economy was in a mess. Lehman Brothers went out of business. It was a frightening time. Now, obviously, I think this is way worse, but it's the same kind of thing where I think 65 million people filed for unemployment here in the US.
It's
20
scary.
million people are still getting some sort of unemployment benefits. And just today, they had last week's numbers. I would say like 800,000 people filed for unemployment, which is crazy. It's so large.
Yeah.
So what I'm really interested in is that you could kind of maybe give some advice to people in terms of what I see. Well, I'll tell you this. What I see is this, Donna, is so many people, both personally and professionally, that I deal with, they know they have to be on LinkedIn. They know how they have to market themselves, but either they're afraid to do it, they're a little embarrassed. Like, what do I do? A little bit of imposter syndrome. Like, should I really say it? So then they don't do anything, and then they don't get noticed. What can we do just to get them started to dip their toe in the water?
Yeah. Well, I have a methodology for LinkedIn. So I'll start to talk to you a little bit about that because I think it helps here. The first thing is if a person says to themselves, I want to do more. I want to get on LinkedIn, whether maybe it is a person who's looking for, that next position, or maybe it's someone who's currently working, but maybe they're a little scared. Maybe they don't know what's coming up, or maybe they've been in a great situation, but they feel like there's more to it, that there's more for them. So regardless of exactly where you sit, think to yourself, what is it that you want out of LinkedIn? Are you going on LinkedIn because you're looking for a job? Are you going on LinkedIn because you want to be seen as a thought leader? Are you going on LinkedIn for, why are you going on LinkedIn? What do you want out of it? So few people, they just jump in without any real clear goal. Like, what is success for them? What do they want out of it? You need to, ahead of time, really identify, this is why I'm on it. Once you know why, once you have a goal in mind,
can I just
strategy.
Sure. So it makes, it's so funny. Sometimes when people say things, it's, the light bulb goes on, and you take a very complex thing and you break it down. So it really sounds like, okay, if you're on there, and as someone who's a recruiter and just started and launched WeCruitr platform, I'm thinking through the lens of most likely job seekers, but you're looking, hey, it could be all sorts of people. So
it could be a person who says, hey, every time I walk into the room, no one takes me seriously. I seem not to be able to get the opportunities that I think are worthy of me. What's going on? Hello, reputation management and executive branding. We need to make sure that you're telling the right story. We need to make sure that you're putting forth the right image. So it's that tweak. It's saying, hey, you can be on LinkedIn for a whole slew of reasons. And some of them, there might be some duplicates. There might be some overlaps. Maybe it's, hey, job search all the way. Or maybe it's a little bit of job search and a little bit of reputation management. For someone else, it might be recruiting. It could be sales and prospecting. There's tons of reasons.
And then you said you have to kind of have your goal. Like, okay, I'm on it. What am I trying to achieve?
Yeah. What am I trying to achieve? And answer that. I say write it down on a piece of paper. Just sort of try to figure out why are you on it? Are you on it just because people are telling you to be on it? Or, is there, maybe it's just for networking. Right now, with the way the world is, LinkedIn truly has become that handshake. You can't see people in person anymore, but they're checking you out on LinkedIn. They want to know more about you. They want to see what you look like. They want to know who they're going to be doing business with, who they might be interviewing. People are looking. So make sure what they find is something that's, interesting, intelligent, engaging, intriguing. It gives them confidence in who you are and what you do. It provides that background on where you've been. So, know why you're there. Once you know why you're there, the next thing you really need to do before you think about growing a network, before you think about even getting active on LinkedIn, is look at your LinkedIn profile. Look at it, read it through, and say to yourself, is this how I want others to perceive me? Is this how I want to put myself out there for others to say, hey, yeah, okay, here's Jack, here's Donna, here's this person. Is that how you want to, is that how you want to be perceived? I would say for most people, they thought when they joined LinkedIn, oh, it's my resume. Let me go get my old resume and just copy and paste it in there. And plus, maybe, you're on a job search. So of course it should be your resume, but it really shouldn't, because a resume needs to align you very specifically to, a very particular position, a role. Whereas your LinkedIn profile, I believe, should be more of that digital introduction. It should get a person interested. It should whet their appetite. It should make them realize that you're a real human being, and it should compel a person to want to learn more about you and to request that resume. I want a person to say, oh, this is interesting. I want to learn more. That to me is true success. The profile compels a person to want to learn more, to reach out. That's a good thing. That's a really good thing. If you throw everything against the wall and hope it sticks, it's not the right strategy.
Do you start with a photo, or what would be the first place?
Well, if we start at the top of the profile,
Okay.
there's the background graphic. So if
don't
anyone
have
who's watching right now, right? If anyone's watching right now,
everyone's cringing, right? And saying, oh my gosh, you're looking at their LinkedIn profile like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. This is, you can see everything that I'm doing wrong here. So you go with the profile, you go for the picture, not the default, I imagine you're going to say, right?
well, never the default. So if you're looking at your background image, it's like LinkedIn is like in the midst of rolling out a new design. I think everyone has the new one now, but maybe some have the old. So if it's like a blue-green constellation, or it's sort of like 2 shades of grayish green, that means you've got the default. You have not uploaded a background graphic. And I would say that in some ways the imagery is probably more easy than anything. So, really think of what illustrates your brand. What kind of image would illustrate your brand? If you work for a particular company and you want to really have, you want to share branding with that company, maybe find an image off their website. But maybe you don't want to be so closely associated to that company. Maybe you really want to stand alone. Think of what you do and find an image that illustrates it. Or even if it doesn't directly illustrate, maybe it sort of symbolizes what you do, and upload that for the background graphic. That's going to immediately set your profile apart from almost everyone else, because very few people have done that. Once you do that, then of course there's the profile picture. And I can't believe that it's been over 10 years and I'm still telling people take a professional headshot, or at least, like just make it your face and smile and don't look scary. But it is important to have a good profile picture. I love it when it's been professionally taken by a photographer, but not everyone can afford that.
Would you suggest maybe going for whatever it costs to get?
Oh yeah.
Instead of just sitting there with your phone and trying to take, you know what I mean?
Well,
that it doesn't come right.
I would say this, Jack, don't ever do the selfie.
No?
Don't ever do a selfie. If you need to take it yourself, have someone help you. Just have someone take that picture for you, and try to take it against like a blank wall. So you're the focus. But, if you can, go to headshotcrew.com, find a photographer in your area and spend some money. And
what is that?
Headshotcrew.com. It's hands down my favorite database of photographers.
Headshotcrew.com. What we could do is after, when we edit, we could put things like that up. So for people to follow, because that's a good suggestion.
Oh, I think they're very affordable.
Okay.
But it really does make a difference. And this is how people are going to see you. So make yourself, I don't want you to look like a different person, but, make yourself look as good as you can. And a professional photographer will do that. Once you have that done, so you've got those 2 images, the next thing.
So what I'm understanding, you shouldn't have where your the dude who has his hand around his girlfriend kind of cropped.
Oh, and then you just slice her off slightly, but there's like still like one eyeball in the picture now.
Show, hey, I have a girlfriend. Or have a wife. So that probably is good. A logo.
My favorite one, Jack, was there was this one. It was like a rather high level executive, and he was holding a goose.
All right. Was he from Grey Goose the vodka? Maybe that was it. Or
I have no idea. I will say, ever since Tiger King has come, has been out, I found that a huge decrease in the number of people taking pictures with tigers in their profile pictures.
So that's a thing. Tiger.
There was for a long time. I was like, oh, here's another one with a tiger.
Really? I didn't know it. Oh my, I didn't know that. Now I'm going to look and see. So no tigers.
No tigers, no geese.
No geese. Anti-geese. Okay, you can't have geese. Wow, you're tough.
No boyfriends, no girlfriends, no pictures at weddings.
Yeah. Sports, you know what I love? The people put their sports teams, their logos or whatever. It's like, wait, why are you broadcasting, the Mets? All right, you like them, but what does that have to do with your career? It'd be one thing if you work for the Mets, but if you don't even work for the Mets, what are you doing?
Well, but there is something to be said. I do like it when people, especially in the headline, I like it when people infuse something personal, like a hobby or an interest, because I do feel that you want to put it out there. This is who I am. This is what I like. And there's other people who are going to like that. And you will attract that tribe, the people who want you and like you, and you want to work with them, and you want to, do your best. So I don't think you have to be this, 100% professional all the time. I really don't mind if someone loves, I'm in Philly, so, like the Phillies or the Eagles. I mean, I don't mind if they say something like that, maybe in their headline. They might have, who they are, what they do, and then maybe something like Phillies fan, because it opens up conversation.
Yeah, Phillies fans are pretty aggressive. They're right.
Everybody in Philly is aggressive.
They're hardcore, So what you're saying is, even though it's viewed as the white collar, which, by the way, I think is changing a lot to be more encompassing, but it's traditionally viewed as more the white collar, a little uptight kind of, professional side, to tell your story a bit, give a narrative. You could tell a little bit about yourself, to be authentic.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And not be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want it to, don't take it and twist it to being really flaky. Right. But I think there's a lovely balance that you can strike where, you do show, the warmth of yourself and have some, some story of who you are. I think that's an important part of your story. And, I think people resonate to that. They don't want you to be this, stiff, professional all the time. There's something that, makes you who you are. And that, so we have the headline, and that's the top, it's right below your name. Mm-hmm. And I do have a LinkedIn headline generator. It's an app that's on my website. So if a person is struggling with their headline, they can go and visit, and it's a really fun way of generating an app, generating a headline.
So how does that work? Do you put in like a bunch of different things that you do, and they'll do it for you?
Yeah.
That's genius.
Oh, I know. Thank you. Thank you. So cool. It's a lot of fun, really. So basically you go in and it just walks you through it. It gives you some suggestions, and then it has an area where you can customize and add your own if you need to. And at the very bottom, you can watch it build. And you can even choose the little separators, little different icons, and it builds a headline that you can then just copy and you paste right in, and you get more views to your profile. You get found much more easily because that area is super sensitive for search. So if you want to be found for a certain keyword, right? Because we have to remember that LinkedIn is not just, a social network. It is a search engine, and you know that more than anyone. People go onto LinkedIn looking for people. And the way they look for people is they put in those keywords. So if you want to get found, you really do want to be strategic. You want to say, okay, what if a recruiter is looking for someone like me? What are those words? Let me make sure I use those words in my headline. I infuse it into my narrative. I infuse it into my experiences. And, when you have those keywords in there, then you're more apt to pop up, and then you collide with opportunity.
That's cool. And for the headline, mm-hmm. This is a dumb question, but wait. I'm going to open up my LinkedIn in front of LinkedIn. Let's take a look. When you, the headline is where? It's, like what, right under your name, right?
Mm-hmm.
What you do?
Here, I'm going to open up yours.
Okay, no, don't embarrass me. No, now, because like everything you're talking about, I'm like, I don't do it. Everything you're saying, I'm cringing now. It's like I gotta like do a whole lot of work.
Let's see. Well, you have a beautiful background graphic. We connect, we communicate, we collaborate. Welcome to WeCruitr. So that's a wonderful thing. Now, so yes, you could work. You could use my LinkedIn headline generator. So right underneath your name, it says founder and CEO of WeCruitr.io. And that's true, right? What LinkedIn does by default is it takes your current position, your current title, and your current company. I like how you say that because
there's going to be a but there. I like how you say that. It's like, it's good. Well, it's good, but it's really bad.
No, it's but it could be better.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
That's the positive flair here. Yeah. So you want to have, we would want to say founder and CEO, but, just looking at it, what do you do? How do you help? If someone was
point.
searching for you, if someone needed you to help them, what would the words be that they might be searching for? And then if you could put that in there, you can put in your keywords, you can put in a benefit statement, you're going to find that. Now, where does this, it's not just at the top of your profile, Jack. If a person is searching and you're looking at the search results, right? You're scrolling through the search results, you see the person's picture, you see their name, and you see their headline.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a really engaging, attractive headline, more people are going to click on your profile.
That makes sense.
Should I hit refresh? Have you updated it?
Oh, wait, sorry. I was so busy looking at my, I was so busy looking at my LinkedIn and go, oh my God, now she's going to talk about this and that I must have hit. I don't know what I did. I hit something.
You deleted it.
So we won't look at my LinkedIn anymore. You get me all shook up. Yeah. I'm like, oh no, I got a lot of work to do. I've been taking notes, so I'll change it afterwards.
Okay. But then let me know and I'll take a look.
So I hear what you're saying. So you really need to be like, to really have it jump out. All right, not only do I do X, but here's what it means. Here's what it means to you. Here's how it can help. Here's why you need to connect with me, and so on.
You want to be strategic, right? So many people just, they copy and paste their resume. They don't really think about what they're doing. They're not thinking about what they want to be found for. They're not thinking of those keywords. They just throw stuff up because they don't want to give it much time. And then they're like, LinkedIn isn't that great. It's not really helping me. Well, here's the thing. If you go in, you know your goal, you know what your keywords are, you know who your target audience is, you write a profile that doesn't just say what you want to say, but it says what your target audience needs to know about you. It utilizes those keywords a person is going to be using to search for someone like you. Once you start to do that, and then you start to build a network and you get active. And when I say active on LinkedIn, the days of having to post 15 times a day are behind us. LinkedIn really doesn't want us to be posting all the time. In fact, I'm finding that, just posting once to 3 times a week is really more than enough time. That's all you need to do. You don't need to do it like 20 times a day.
I don't want to tell you how much I post every day.
How much do you post every day?
I don't want to tell you now. You said that.
Well, here's the thing. Your mileage may vary, Jack. Yeah. Yours might vary. But I started to use Shield. Do you use Shield?
No, what is Shield?
Shield is it's a company that provides LinkedIn analytics. Mm-hmm. And you really get to see how your posts are performing over time and within which geographical areas. And what it taught me was the more I posted, it really didn't matter because if I posted once, I might get, 5,000 views. But if I posted 5 times, the aggregate was still 5,000 views. So if I just posted really good quality stuff, I didn't have to keep posting so much. It was because the less I posted, but the higher quality I posted, I still did, I was doing better actually in the long run.
Now, how do you judge a higher quality, or how does the algorithms judge that?
Well, the algorithm really does a quick check to say, oh, it doesn't look like spam. I don't know what their exact, thing is, but they know if it looks like, if it looks spammy or if it looks relatively good, then they send it out to just a small audience. And if that small audience, likes it, comments on it, shares it, then they say, oh, there has to be some relevance here. And then it goes to a bigger audience and then a bigger audience. So they really send it out to like little test groups. And, the better it does within those little groups, then more eyes will see it.
It's so interesting because I, up until recently, or fairly recently, thought it would be like other social media networks, if you post something, it goes out to whoever your connections are. But as you pointed out, not at all. It just
No.
sprinkles it, and then if they like it, then they'll send more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when you go to your LinkedIn, your feed, the LinkedIn feed on the homepage, it doesn't say recent, it says top. So it only shows you the top posts. And what LinkedIn wants is they want that LinkedIn feed to be the people that you know talking about the things that you care about. So that leads us to, just as important as it is to post, it's also important to be engaging with the people who are posting. Because when you start to engage with them, you're going to start to notice that if you engage on a post, like I engaged on your post, Jack, I'm now going to start seeing more of your stuff at the top of my feed because I've shown LinkedIn that there's that connection, there's that relationship.
It's so wild because all this isn't what you would think naturally would happen, if that makes sense, right? You would think, okay, if I post a lot of people see me more, like a commercial on TV. If you have young kids and you see McDonald's all the time, they're like, I want McDonald's because they see it all the time.
Yeah.
But in social media, I guess it's different.
Well, at least within the LinkedIn realm. The LinkedIn realm is different than Facebook. It's different than Instagram. It's different than Twitter. They all have their different ways of finding good content and allowing it to buoy up and be seen. And, for LinkedIn, I think for the longest of time, for a very long time, and you may remember this as well, but LinkedIn kind of did everything they could to make people want to stay away from their newsfeed. They had it with just like boring stuff. So and so connected to so and so. So and so updated their profile, and it wasn't compelling. It wasn't interesting. It wasn't sticky. No one wanted to stay there, and LinkedIn realized that.
It was like violating your privacy, because as a recruiter, people wouldn't want to link in because they've got Jack. My boss will see, why are you linking in with a recruiter?
Yeah.
So it exposes people to you could blow up your spot. So dangerous.
LinkedIn was making a lot of bad decisions back then, but I think it was right around when they were acquired by Microsoft, things started to really change for them. And now, like when you post on LinkedIn wants you to stay on that newsfeed. They want you scrolling. They do not. So if you post something with a link out, those posts don't do so well because they want you to stay on the newsfeed. They don't want people going to an article outside of LinkedIn.
Donna, everything I'm doing wrong is basically what you're saying. So I'm the poster child for like what not to do, because I post a lot of links, because for my Forbes article, I'll do kind of like some bullet points to say, hey, here's what it's about. Mm-hmm. And then I'll have the link to the article, which I guess I should not do.
Well, there's a whole, no one knows the exact algorithm. So everyone is making guesses. Yeah. But what I've been hearing and what appears to still be pretty much the best practice is post it without the link, put it maybe in the first comment, and then give it a little bit of, some time. And then you can edit your post and put the link in.
Wow.
See how that works.
Like an art.
And if it doesn't perform as well as the other posts, then disregard what I just said. But if you think, like, I always try to think like LinkedIn, what does LinkedIn want? What are they going to reward? And they've been very, very specific. They want relevant content. They want people to see other posts of the people they know, and they don't want people surfing away. They want them to stay on LinkedIn. They want them to click on ads. They want to, look at the sponsored content. And so if you think along those lines, that's the sandbox that you need to be playing in.
How about adding people? Is that?
I find that if you tag people in posts, that's a good thing. The thing here is, the big caveat is, if you, like, let's say you tagged me, but I don't do anything, like I do not engage with that post, that's a bad sign to LinkedIn.
Oh, really? Okay.
So only tag the people that are going to come in, like it, and then comment.
That's so interesting. And it makes sense, because if you tag people and they don't respond,
that's like a bad sign.
You're spamming. This is not a real good piece of work that you're putting out there.
Yeah. And you have to be careful, with who you tag. You want to tag people that you have some type of a relationship with, right, or they're somehow related to the content that you've posted. Because I often hear from people, so-and-so tagged me. I don't know who they are. And why are they suddenly like drawing me into this conversation? So you do want to be, there's like a certain etiquette where you want to, absolutely tag. I find that when I tag people in my posts, those posts do tend to do better, but you need to be careful with who you're tagging, that they know you, they like you, and they're actually going to engage with that content.
Cool. Can I just go back to for the profile?
Mm-hmm.
If you, what's your take on the banner, the open to work, open to opportunities? Is that good, bad, indifferent?
I actually wrote a big blog post all about this. I love that LinkedIn is making it okay to say, hey, I'm out of work or I'm open to work. Mm-hmm. Because for so long, it was something that people were almost ashamed to talk about. And I don't think it's anything to be ashamed of. So in that regard, I love it. I love that. I do have issues because I'm always thinking about what is your brand? What does it say? How are people perceiving you? And, some people, they don't want that to be a part of their brand, or they don't want to be leading with that. And I think that's something to be thinking about. Do you want to be leading with that? Some people may at that moment, others not. There's no right or wrong here, Jack, but I will say with my clients, the higher level, the higher executives, they're very against it. But at the same time, I think there's still that fear and that shame associated with
it's so unfortunate, right?
That work.
People do feel that you're wrapped, as a society, we're so wrapped up in our identity and our career that if you're not currently working somewhere, really on any level, but particularly I can see where you say on the executive level, you feel a loss of self-identity. So if you're putting on, hey, out of work, it's just so uncomfortable. So I can see how they're not doing it.
But on the flip side, no one's going to ask you to the ball if they think you're going with somebody else, right? So how can people help you if they don't know you need help?
Yeah. See, the thing is that I would suggest to people who put it on there is that at least say what help they need. Because when I look at one of those banners and it just says, to your point, like with some of the content of, hey, COVID, help, I'm out of work. I'm like, all right, well, what do you want to do next? What did you do? I need a little bit more information, because otherwise, even if I want to help, I don't even know how.
Yeah. And I think that's the about section, right? I mean, that's where you can really go into who are you? What do you do? What are you looking for? How can you help others? And how can others help you? It's not just that one-way street.
Yeah, so, and this is what your expertise. So what would you do? So now, like we talk about a lot of things not to do, and I've been writing down a checklist, and I think Christine and Nicole, a marketing person, cringing and saying, "I told you so, Jack. You shouldn't add all these people." And I'm going to hear it. But so what are some of the things you should do if, let's say, you're in between jobs? Let's say you're at a job, but either you want a better one or you're worried about the economy, what's going to happen, so you want to keep your eyes open. How to, like, not only your profile, but then also when you post on LinkedIn, what to do so you could achieve your goals.
So, definitely look at that LinkedIn profile. And there is someone ringing my front door right this very second.
Bring them in. We'll bring them on the show. Let's see who it is.
This is their second doorbell ring. Is it wrong for me to go check? I feel horrible. Right. Hold on. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
All right. So hopefully it really was just a doorbell and Donna's not like, Jack's the worst interviewer. And I'm storming out and not coming back. I'm going to leave him here for the next 15 minutes to talk by himself. But so far, I think there's really great advice, right, guys? So that, and I'm not just saying that to make her feel good. I'm doing all the things she said not to. I at way too many people. I have links in all my articles. I post way too much. So yeah, I was covering for you. Hopefully.
That was the little girl who would not give up. She was over there knocking and ringing because Amazon had delivered the wrong package.
It's horrible. So it was for you instead of her? Or her
no, it was delivered to us.
Yeah.
But it was for her. And so she wanted that package.
She's like, give me my package back. That mean old lady stole my package.
I didn't look. I just took it in.
So did you charge her for it? You say, I'll give it back. $20.
I said, I want to look at your LinkedIn profile before I give you any package.
Yeah, I want to make sure you say who you are. You're not an Amazon box thief. I want to make sure. So
the thing is, she could see me here. That's the problem. So she's like, I know you're here.
I see you. You have my box. Wait a minute. That's the microphone I ordered. Why are you using that? What's going on here?
There's nothing more passive aggressive than the neighborhood Facebook groups who are like, who got my package? I know it was delivered.
All the time.
But at any rate, to go back to what I was saying, you got to look at your about section. You got to look at the profile, and you've got to figure out, it is about talking. You want to be careful, right? You don't want to come across as desperate, right? And you don't want to come across as being too much of a braggart, right? Mm-hmm. And so you can't just say, I did this and I did this, but you need to sort of wrap these things around, with a narrative, with a story that talks about accomplishments. And it could be accomplishments that you shared with your team. It's okay to talk about these things, and you don't always have to tell, like, I'm great at building strategic relationships. You can talk about a time when you did build a strategic relationship. So use that about section to talk about the things that are most important. Use that about section, and it used to be 2,000 characters. You got about 2,500 characters now. So it's not like you're not writing a book, but you have room to talk about the things that are important to you. What do you stand for? What do you represent? What is your mission? What is your passion? Why do you do what you do? How does what you do help others? These are all important things. And, you think of that book, The Power of Why. This is where you can talk about why. Why do you do what you do? Why does it help? I think those are all really interesting things. And a lot of times people say, oh, I need to be concise. I need to be short. I don't want to put too much out there because I'm going to bore my audience. But recognize if they've gotten down that far, they're qualified and they want to learn more about you. So help them.
Really say it's trying to tell a story in a narrative, not just, okay, achievement 1, achievement 2, achievement 3.
The bulleted list, project management, problem solver.
To kind of give a little bit of a story, a little bit of a narrative, so that people could kind of feel comfortable with you. And then I guess that could also, you could use that when you post and kind of brand and market yourself, away from your profile, but just getting, writing things on LinkedIn, right? Well,
so we have the profile, that's going to be, it's not written in stone, but it's there. It's relatively static until you go in and change it. And then you've got the postings, and, that's where you're going to, join that conversation that's taking place. And, it could be, a lot of times I think people are really just scared to put forth, content. And so I always say, before you just start, creating content, look and see what people are posting. And if you like something, share it. Just work on what's already been there, comment and share, and really act more as that curator. And once you get your feet wet, and once you start joining in and enjoying it and seeing people are responding, then you can start worrying about, okay, let me start sharing. Let me share some tips. Let me share a story. Let me share some photos. Let me share this great news article. Let me talk about this event that's going to take place. Once you start you put your toe in the water, just sort of commenting and sharing. Once you've done that enough, then you can start creating that content. And I think you're more, you feel a little bit more confident at that point, and it's a little easier.
So you're saying is to start, maybe share some things about yourself, tell your story, a little narrative, some anecdotes, maybe some photos. What?
I'm saying first, just share what other people are posting.
Share their stuff.
Share their stuff first.
Okay.
And comment on their stuff first. make that, because I think people are almost like, if I said, start sharing stuff about your personal life, I think people would be like,
so when you say share their stuff, just literally share it
hit
and
the
then
share
put a
button.
commentary, or just share it?
My preference is share, add context,
Right.
add 3 hashtags, perhaps even tag a person or 2. That would be ideal. But
That's a good way to start. So this way, you could share it because you're not having to worry about making original content. You could share it. You add a few people, so they'll see and say they'll comment on it as well.
yeah. Then once you've done that for a little bit and you get used to it, then at that point start to add the content, some context. And then, see if something pops out at you when you're somewhere else and say, oh, this is something I could share on LinkedIn. And then start going down that path.
And when you want to do original things, I guess would it start from who you're trying to connect with at first, that you find people who could be mutually beneficial? If you're looking for a job, maybe people who'd be hiring managers, recruiters, HR people.
Yeah. Think of your industry. Think of, what it is that you do specifically within an organization. And very few people talk about this, but definitely check out the hashtags. Like, look to see who is that target audience. Find some people and see what they're posting. Go to their profile, look at their activity, and see what it is that they're chatting about, and see what hashtags they're using, and see if there's like a lot of people are using the same hashtags. Then you have an idea. Okay, my target audience sort of orbits around these 5 or 10 hashtags, which then should clue you in on, this is what's important to them. This is, what topics that they care about. And then if you were to write along those lines of that content and you were to utilize those hashtags, you're more apt to collide with those people.
Now, how many hashtags? Because you see sometimes people have like so many that looks kind of weird, but then
for the longest of time, it was 3. 3. I've been hearing rumblings that you can go as far as 6. So I would say don't do the Instagram like block hashtags. That works. I think it works in Instagram. It doesn't work on LinkedIn. You definitely want to make sure that you choose good hashtags. Like in the Twitter world, they would say, use the right hashtags, just because, like, they make up a cute little hashtag. Doesn't work in the LinkedIn realm. Like, you have to look to see what hashtags are trending, what hashtags are being used, how many followers do these hashtags have. Like the difference between hashtag marketing and hashtag marketing tips. Like, hashtag marketing has like millions of followers. You don't want to do marketing tips. You want to do marketing.
So this goes back to so if you're kind of pulling it together, you're looking at your why. Let's just say someone's looking for a job. So, hey, I want to find a new job. You're linking in with people who could be hiring managers, HR, peers, what have you, that could help. And then you want to give back and help them too. But then to start getting noticed, you could share some of the things. You look and you kind of look around. It's like a party. You look around at the people there, what's going on, getting a feel for it. And you see that they're using these kind of hashtags. Here's how they're positioning things. This is what they're doing. And then maybe you like what you agree with some things a person says, and you could share those, tag a few people, then maybe get a little bit more bolder, share something, write a little comment on it, like gradual steps. And then as you get more confidence, then I guess you could start maybe, what would you suggest? Would you suggest for people to I remember a while back, if people looking for a job, they would kind of give a story about their job. All right, day 1, here's what I'm doing, day whatever.
Yeah. And you could do that.
And you really learned a lot about the person, even if the person wasn't in my space and I really didn't, I wouldn't recruit because I wouldn't know, about what they do, but I would enjoy reading it because I get to know them as a human being. Mm-hmm. Are there certain things that you would suggest for people to do when they're posting to tell a story about them, or should it be all business or a combination? One kind of post could be really business oriented, one a little bit lighter.
I think you can absolutely get personal to an extent. You do want to stay more on that professional side of things. And, what I have found is with LinkedIn, they do like a little bit more of a longer type of post. In a lot of the other networks out there, they want a quick blurb and that's it. But they, if you get to that see more and a person clicks the see more and they have a little bit further more to read. And with LinkedIn, if you hover over at that status, that post, there's that dwell time, and that factors into, oh, this is relevant, this is good. You're going to find that more people are going to be seeing it. So you can write a paragraph, you can tell a little bit of a story, you can, add that type of content, but at the same time, not everyone can do that, and I recognize it. So if you have that desire and you're a person who's open and you like to share, go for it. You will find tremendous success on LinkedIn because there is an absolute lack of people truly posting on LinkedIn. Most people are voyeurs, they're watching, but they're not really interacting. So if you are one of those people who can put forth content, you will find success. You will find that there are people who are paying attention and they want to see it. If you're one of those people who when we say that, like, tell a story about your first day, you feel that immediate, like, what do I say? How can I do this?
A lot of pressure.
That's too much pressure. Take a deep breath. That's okay. Start small. Maybe it's an article, maybe it's a quote, maybe it's a quick little tidbit, maybe it's a statistic that you thought was interesting. Don't worry. Have a strong profile, comment and engage with other people's content, and try to put something out every now and then that's interesting, that's engaging. It doesn't have to be too much, but just a little is better than nothing at all.
That's great. Hey, can I fire some questions off that I got for you? Okay. Do you know Virginia Franco?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, not personally, but I do know of her. Yes.
Because she was asking, I've been afraid of getting put in LinkedIn jail for using a third-party software like Shield. Have you heard of that?
Shield is safe, guys. Okay. It's not a bot. It doesn't automate anything. It doesn't automate. I hate those bots. I hate that automation stuff.
How do you I hear about, but how do you have a bot on LinkedIn? I mean, maybe that's really naive, but
they're out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, you see it. Every time I click on my network, it's another, leads company, trying to connect with me because they want to help me get more leads or something. Like, there are those connection bots, there are the messaging bots. They are out there. Shield simply plugs in and just looks at, your posts, the activity, and it reports back and says, over the last 24 hours, you had so many likes, and it kind of dipped down, and you had so many comments, and these comments were from all of these areas. It basically takes the information that LinkedIn already makes available, but really puts it into more of a graphical look. So I'm with you, Virginia. Those bots, I would not. I've put too much effort and time into my profile to do anything like that. But Shield is one that I haven't ever seen. I've never heard of anyone ever get put into LinkedIn jail from Shield. And it does, but the reason is it doesn't automate anything. It just reports.
Now, Karen Griffin was asking, can you have 2 LinkedIn profiles?
You can, but that would be against the terms of service.
Okay, so just one.
Sorry, yeah, you can have multiple company pages, but you should only have one company, or you should only have one personal profile. And think of it this way: if a person searched your name and 2 profiles popped up, they'd either assume one was, redundant, or they would, that would be weird, like red flags would go up. So make it one. If you're like, you're like a financial advisor, but you also do something else on the side, figure out if that thing on the side, if it relates to LinkedIn. Like if you're a yoga instructor, maybe that should go on Facebook. But if, you're doing 2 things, just write a narrative in your about section that talks about how these 2 things interweave and why you do the 2. It's very normal nowadays to have those side hustles. So you don't need 2 profiles. It's hard enough just to manage one. Have one profile, but try to tell the story of why you have two different aspects of your professional self.
I have a few that I'll cue them together. In terms of putting out, and you've seen these kind of these motivational, aspirational quotes to kind of build your brand around. If you're looking for a job or just keeping your eyes open for a job, would you suggest to do that? Is that good? Is that bad?
Wait, say the beginning again. I don't think I caught it.
Do you ever see these people will post these kind of motivational quotes or these aspirational quotes and maybe have a nice graphic, but it really doesn't say anything about who they are, what they're looking to do, but they're kind of building a brand around it. Mm-hmm. Is that, from my guess,
something's better than nothing, right? and I'm with you, right? Like quotes are so, 2006, but at the same time, it's not a bad way of getting your foot in the water and starting to craft content. And if there is something that really, if there is a quote motivational that really moves you, why not share it? But do try to put a little context around it. I'd rather have them post something than nothing at all. And if it's a motivational quote and it means something to them, I'm open to it.
It's interesting. I had on the show Dimitri Mastrocola. He's a executive recruiter for senior level attorneys and general counsels and what have you. And what caught my attention about Dimitri a while back is he'll post almost every day, a couple of times a week. I'm not sure I can't remember what days, but really nice quotes, but not just like a one line quote. It'd be like some Stoic philosopher or some Greek philosopher or what have you. And it's really like smart. Like I feel smarter after reading it.
Hey, then that's successful.
Yeah. And that
works.
It's kind of interesting for his brand because I presume he's a really smart guy. I think he is, but just for him putting it there, I'm associating those really smart stuff with him and like, oh, he must be a brilliant guy.
Yeah.
So I guess
again, I think it's how you do it. It's the quotes that you use. I mean, I think we're thinking like for a long time, there was those like hackneyed, overused quotes and they'd go out and it was like, that was it. And there wasn't any insight into the person. And that's not great. But again, I go back to, put something out there. And if that resonates with you, then put it out. That's good. See what happens. If it's always the same quotes and it's always the same thing, try to get a little bit more variety. See what else is out there that you can share.
Try something a little different. Should someone be disappointed if they do put things out there, but they really don't get a lot of feedback or a lot of likes? Should they keep doing it?
It's not even a marathon. It's a lifetime with these things. And a lot of times people go, oh, I'm going to put something out there. And they put one thing out there and it doesn't do well. And then they never put anything out again. But the truth of the matter is you have to build an audience and you have to be consistent and you have to keep putting stuff out there. And you're not going to find a lot of engagement at first. That's okay. And I was talking to a client of mine and she's been really working hard on posting. And so, we logged in, we're looking at her work and she's like, I'm not getting a lot of views. I'm only getting, like 500 views on this post. I said, but look how many followers you have. You've got 500 followers. You're hitting like 100%. That's not bad. So a lot of times we sort of expect, I should be getting, 30,000 views. Well, if you have a small audience and you haven't really, engaged with other people, you're not going to hit those numbers right out the gate.
Is it, and this kind of on the heels of that, is it okay if you have a small audience, but they're engaged? Is that better
than
having
a
large
thing.
Audience and that they're just...
That's what we're aiming for. I mean, it would be great to have a huge audience that's all engaged, but you want to, I truly believe that LinkedIn is not the place to go because you want something out of it. It's like you're looking for that job, you're looking for that lead, you want. yes, that might be your ultimate strategy and your goal for being on LinkedIn, but that shouldn't be what moves you every day. Go on LinkedIn because you want to have fun. Go on LinkedIn because you want to develop as a professional. Go on LinkedIn because you want to help others and you want to educate and you want to add value and you want to inspire. And when you're going out there and you're doing it in that type of a manner, that's when good things happen.
So that's, let me ask you this too. Wait, hold on, because I'm sorry, I just got, wait. So Greg Fratz was asking, what would Donna do specifically if she was looking for a job right now? Greg's putting you on the spot.
What would I do if I was looking for a job right now? I would get a resume. That's the first thing I would do. I would make sure that I had the most kick-ass, accomplishment-driven resume available. Like it would be truly uniquely written to me. And if I was looking for a job, I would know exactly the industries, the areas, the positions that I wanted to target. And I'd write that resume to that. I'd also get a bio because very few people have bios. And I think that's a huge differentiator to be able to walk in and, hand over a bio at some point. I think it's a beautiful thing. Once I had that in my back pocket, then I would go onto my LinkedIn profile and I would tear down what I had and I would rebuild it as that person that position that I want to hold. And I would write that profile in that manner, with that goal in mind. And not just that I want to get there, but I'm already there, that's who I am. And I would write it with those keywords. I would write about, my accomplishments, be very specific in the quantifiable achievements and accomplishments that I've done that lend me to that position. Once I did that, I would then start looking into my network and really trying to see who are in those organizations, who do I know? And I would try to start getting informational interviews. I would also be talking to people who are already in that position. And I would start to ask them questions, like try to get calls with them and just say, hey, how did you get there? What is it like? Tell me more. And so I would really start networking as much as I could. I would try to do those more informational interviews. I wouldn't necessarily just start dropping my resume all over the place. I really believe that it's not doing what everyone else is doing. I feel like there's a back door, a third door that, if you can get a person to say, hey, you know what? We have that need and you would be perfect for it. And we never even posted it, but let's create that position for you. That's what I would be aiming for.
That's great. That's awesome. Hey, I can't believe it's been an hour already, but if you know what, can I squeeze in 2 more questions?
Of course.
All right. So one, Victoria was asking, we talked about a lot about LinkedIn. Are there other social media platforms you recommend, either for a job search or just kind of to advance your career?
That's a great question. My focus has really been on LinkedIn, but I think there's other areas where you can, forge networks and relationships. For me, I love Facebook. I love my network there, the people, and even though it's not for job search or professional networking, I still feel like there's a lot of networking that takes place. And I've got a really good tribe of people there. So, it could just be Facebook. It could be Instagram. I think you need to figure out, in your industry and what you do, is there something out there? I know that I do a lot of work with Cheeky Scientist, and it's this amazing group of smart PhDs who want to get out of academia and get into, get a regular job, but a high level one. And that right there is a fantastic organization. It's a professional network, but it also does a lot of professional development. So it's little things like that. And you have to look and see what's out there, but there's a lot of things that are very, very niche and very specific, but I can't, not knowing who that person is, I can't definitely recommend.
Right. And then I see on your bookshelf there, my eyesight is not so great anymore, even with contacts on, but that's yours? That's that book?
Yeah, here, hold on. I'm gonna grab it.
There you go. That's a big book.
I also have Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within. There it is.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
It's kind of everything you're talking about.
Yeah, it is. It is. This is the second edition. It just came out. I think the drop date was April, but it got held up in a warehouse for a little bit because of COVID. But it's an actual For Dummies book, and I wrote the first one in 2016, and this one, like I said, just came out. But it really is. This is my methodology. It's written not to be read, cover to cover. It's actually meant to be opened up at any point and just dive in. And it's got this amazing table of contents and index. So if you're thinking to yourself, you know what, today I just want to tackle the experience section, you can just jump in, read that chapter, read those chapters, and get something out of it.
How does that happen? Like, how do you get with For Dummies series? Like, you just contact them and say, I want to write a book for you?
No, they contacted me.
Oh, cool.
So what happened is, I will tell you this, Jack. My father years ago had said to me, you want to write a For Dummies book. If you're going to say that you're this expert, you need to have a book, and you should have a For Dummies book. And I remember at the time I was like, For Dummies would never talk to me. I mean, those authors are, like amazing. And fast forward a few years later, it was through Twitter. I had I have a pretty active presence on Twitter, and the acquisitions editor somehow collided with one of my Twitter, one of my tweets. And she went back to my Twitter profile, which sent her to my website. And she's looking around and she said, we don't have a book on this. We have a book on just LinkedIn, but we don't have a book on the profiles and the branding aspect. So she picked up the phone and said, hey, I'm from, For Dummies, and we want you to write a book.
That's so cool. That's so great.
Like, oh, really? I was like trying so hard not to be like,
well, I'll see if I have some time. I don't know. I'll have to check with my other publisher and see if it's okay.
Let me see. But yeah, no, I was so excited. And it's like, only some women can say this, but it's like birthing a baby.
That's so cool. That's awesome. I was always curious, like how those things work with it, because there's something for everybody in that series.
Oh my gosh. So they will come to you and they will, see if it works. And I mean, I still had to put in a proposal, and I still had to prove that, I had the ability to market and the ability to write, so it wasn't just like, here, just do it. Like we had to, make sure that we were a fit and everything. But if you have this thought of a For Dummies book, go and see if it exists. If it doesn't exist, you can always contact an acquisitions editor there and pitch it, and they might say yes.
Now, do you use Twitter for business purposes, or just
for business?
And would you suggest for candidates? Do you think, because I don't really see that going on Twitter.
Yeah, well, you know what? She found me on Twitter back in 2014, 2015. It was a different Twitter. It was a kinder, gentler Twitter
right now,
back then.
Right. So Twitter to me now seems like whoever is like, you have to be on one side of an argument or the other side and be really loud. And that's where you get it, or celebrity or what have you. But other than that, it seems like you get lost a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not nearly as active as I used to be on it. And it was very much to, seed, my articles and, just having a place to say, hey, this is what's going on, and it worked very well back then. And it still works well to this day, but I agree with you. It's not a place that I go for positive vibes.
Yeah. So any, because you really gave so much great advice. This is perfect. This is so awesome. Any things I didn't ask, anything you'd like to share that maybe we didn't bring up?
I would say to those who are watching, definitely think in terms of what you're projecting. Look at that profile. It means so much more than you have any idea. people are looking, they want to learn more about you, and you have this amazing amount of control to help people understand who you are and what you do and what you represent. And don't let that opportunity go. Seize it and put effort into that profile. Know that my book is available. I have 3 free chapters that you can download on my website. Just go into free resources. That's also where my LinkedIn headline generator is. So I have a lot of free stuff there that you can definitely use and take advantage of. But really think about who you are and what is that narrative. It's not like you are who you are today. You're not who you were 5 years ago, and you shift and you change. And if you feel like you're being pigeonholed, it might be because you keep explaining yourself the way you did 5 years ago or 10 years ago.
Well, that's great. Donna, thank you so much. Donna, and we got to go with the Serdula, right? We have to.
Serdula.
Serdula. Donna Serdula, thank you so much. It was great. And what we'll do is we'll edit it, we'll upload it, and this way people who weren't available for whatever reason to watch it live could just watch it at their leisure. And the cool thing is you offered so much great advice that they could kind of sit there like I was taking notes on this as well, because you brought up a lot of things that I think we could kind of even add to the video about where to look and what to do, including your book. So, and your YouTube's shows that you do, which are really great too. So it's fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having this and for helping people and for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.